Hi friends, welcome back to Sarah's Next Chapter. My name is Sarah and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some dark academia book recommendations. So grab yourself a cup of tea, coffee, water, whatever you fancy, and let's get into it. Okay, so first off, I thought we would chat a little bit about what dark academia actually is. So I've made some notes about what I think dark academia is to me. So, dark academia has really become a whole vibe and a whole aesthetic on its own. I feel like it was really popular. I think it was originally really popular on Tumblr and then it got really popular on Book Talk or just TikTok in general with people like styling themselves in a dark academia type vibe or styling their homes in a dark academia way. Um, so to me, that aesthetic is shirts, blazers, waistcoats, glasses, tweed, wide leg trousers, um, satchels, notebooks, old libraries. That's kind of like the vibe to me of dark academia. I thought I'd put on my little shirt and make a bit of an effort for this video. I actually do really dress in a sort of dark academia aesthetic in the autumn winter months, not so much in spring summer, but I do love a good wide leg trouser. I love a shirt. But let's talk about dark academia books. So, when I think of a dark academia book, it is usually set in or around education or learning or studying in some way. So, it could be set in a library, it could be set in a university, a school, any sort of like academic setting is obviously clues in the name, dark academia. It usually involves themes of elitism, power, the pursuit of knowledge, and some sort of obsession. And it also usually focuses on the moral ambiguity of the characters. I feel like most of the characters in dark academia books are pretty morally ambiguous. You might not always agree with everything they do, but they're definitely interesting, sometimes quite unlikable characters. And most importantly, I feel like most of them focus on some sort of secret society or something morbid. I think dark academia often goes into the realm of like gothic fiction. I think there is a bit of a crossover there because the themes are often quite morbid and quite dark, hence the name dark academia. So, yeah, I just wanted to chat a little bit about that so that you kind of know where I'm coming from in terms of these book recommendations. So, I have like five, I guess I'm going to say classic dark academia recommendations, and then I have two that are a little bit off centre. We just have to start at the start, you know. The first book I'm going to recommend to you is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I really feel like you couldn't do a dark academia recommendation video without mentioning this book. It just, I feel like it's kind of set the standard for dark academia. So I read this book a couple of years ago. Oh, I've tabbed a bit of this book. What did I tab? I hardly ever do that, so that's kind of interesting to me. This is interesting because I was talking about theme of obsession, and the bit that I've tabbed is, well, as far as I knew, it hadn't been done for 2,000 years. He paused when he saw he hadn't convinced me. After all, the appeal to stop being yourself, even for a little while, is very great, he said. To escape the cognitive mode of experience, to transcend the accident of one's moment of being, there are other advantages more difficult to speak of, things which ancient sources only hint at, and which I myself only understood after the fact. That's interesting. That's the only bit in this book that I have tabbed, and it's about like obsession and this idea of like not being yourself and almost not being responsible for your actions, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, this book is about a group of students that are studying with this Greek professor, and it is like a very elite class. Only a very select few get into studying with this professor, um, and then they do something really bad, which you know right from the start of the book. So there is a murder in this. I don't want to say too much more. I feel like there's 1,000 videos on The Secret History, so I'm not going to dive into it. But I think if you're looking for dark academia, you can't skip over this book. I did enjoy it. I don't think I was as obsessed with it as other people are. I think I gave it maybe a 4 stars because I do think it could have been trimmed down by probably 100 or so pages. But I did enjoy it. I do see why there is hype around it. I do see why people love it. I just think there are maybe other books that I prefer in this genre to this one. But I'm glad I read it. So if you're curious about the genre, this is a good starting point. So we're gonna just continue on the theme with the big three. I feel like these are the big three in the dark academia space. So next up, we have Babel by R.F. Kuang. So this is about a young boy who is taken from his home in China, brought to England to study at Babel, which is like an elite language transcribing centre. Let me just read the back of it and I'll give you an actual coherent description. So it says, Oxford 1836, the city of dreaming spires. It is the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world, and at its heart is Babel, Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, the tower from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel was a paradise, until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? So I feel like I don't really need to say much more after that description. That was quite cohesive. I will say I was sobbing at the end of this book. Like, it really shook me, the end of this book. It was really upsetting and I really enjoyed it. I have Catabasis downstairs, which is by the same author. I've not read it yet, but I do need to get to it. But I think I'm almost a bit nervous to get to it because I really enjoyed this one and I want to enjoy Catabasis. Is it Catabasis or is it Catabasis? I'm hoping I enjoy that one as much. But yeah. Okay, to round off the big three, finish the trifecta, we have If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. So again, as with the previous two, elite drama school this one is set in. There's lots of secrets, there's death, there's moral ambiguity, there's jealousy. There's a lot of Shakespeare in this book, which I really enjoyed. I have a degree in acting for stage and screen, if you did not know. I really, really enjoy Shakespeare. Did a lot of Shakespeare in my college and uni days, still really enjoy it. So I thoroughly enjoyed the aspects of Shakespeare in this book. I don't think, like, if you're not into Shakespeare, I think you'll still enjoy it. But if you are into Shakespeare and are familiar with some of his works, I think it will really enhance your enjoyment of it, is something I would say. This book was very vivid to me. I could really see the characters in my head. I really enjoyed the theatrical aspect of it. I think of someone that has an acting background and specifically a theatre background, I really, really enjoyed that setting. This book is very theatrical, dramatic, atmospheric, and I did really enjoy it, so I would highly recommend If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio if you're interested. Okay, so I feel like that's the holy trinity of dark academia. That is the big three, and now we're going to move on to two, I would say maybe lesser known ones. So the first one I don't actually have in my possession at the moment, but that is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So this is an interesting one. This follows two boys. Now bear with me because I'm relying on memory here and I read this 8 years ago. Two young men who are, I believe, at university, and they become obsessed with the idea about having near-death experiences, and those near-death experiences giving them some sort of supernatural abilities. I hope I've done that justice because it has been a long time since I've read it. But yeah, so there is an academic setting, there is an element of like competitiveness. I feel like I remember there being like jealousy, definitely obsession with this notion of inducing near-death experiences. So obviously moral ambiguity as well. They shouldn't really be doing this in their university science labs. I'm sure it's definitely frowned upon to try and induce near-death experiences. But they do, and it makes for a really, really interesting read. I think this might be a trilogy. I feel like I've read the second one. So I think Vicious is the first one, then I want to say it's maybe Vengeful is the second one. I don't know. I'll maybe put up a picture if this is a duology or a trilogy, which I'm sure it is. I'll put up a picture because I'm not quite sure. But I remember really enjoying the first one, which was Vicious. Next up, we have a book that I do not think gets enough love, and that is And He Shall Appear by Kate Borg. So I actually got sent this book, like a PR gift thing, and I absolutely love this. So again, this is is it Cambridge? Yes, it's set in Cambridge. So I'll read you the inside of this dust jacket. When a young man arrives in Cambridge as a first year student, he finds himself an outsider. There's the punting and the politics, the wine and the waistcoats, all seemingly familiar to everyone but him. Then he falls under the spell of Bryn Cavendish. A notorious party boy and skilled magician, Bryn is magnetic. To be in his circle is to revel in clouds of ecstasy, untouched by the rules. To be exiled is to haunt the peripheries of campus life like a ghost. As the academic year intensifies and Bryn's magic tricks become more sinister, one question lingers. Is Bryn's charisma the source of his influence, or does he wield a much darker and more dangerous power? So again, that was pretty cohesive, don't really need to say much more. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was quite a wild ride. I found it really captivating. I can still see like scenes from it in my head. I still think about it quite a lot. The character of Bryn was magnetic. Like, you really couldn't decide if you loved or hated him or loved to hate him. He was just one of those really intriguing, mysterious characters, and I really, really, really like this one, and I do not see it getting talked about enough. So do yourself a favour and read And He Shall Appear by Kate Vanderborg, because you will not regret it. Now we're moving on to the two sort of left field recommendations for Dark Academia. I'm saying they're left field because they're not really set in an academic setting as such. So the first one is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. So obviously this is a classic about a man called Dorian Gray who has a portrait painted of him, and he basically is able to put all his sins or his misdeeds onto this portrait. So the portrait ages and shows the mark of his sins and wrongdoings, while the man, Dorian Gray, remains like young and beautiful. This is such a fascinating read. I actually read this, I feel like I was only maybe 18 or 19 or something when I read this. I was quite young, so I'll need to go back and read it again, but I remember really enjoying it. There's also a movie adaptation which is quite good. Yeah, it's just this fascinating concept of like, what would you do if you didn't have to sort of wear all your shame and your guilt and your wrongdoings? Like, what would you do if you were kind of given this freedom and you weren't, yeah, like the mark of your sins couldn't be seen upon you, you weren't like held accountable for them. Again, the theme of like moral ambiguity. The character just kind of does whatever he wants without a lot of repercussions. He is in quite a high standing in society, so again you've got these like sort of elite societies. It's a really fascinating book. It's not even that long, it's quite short. So yeah, highly recommend reading this one if you haven't before. Really, really good one. And last but not least, a classic book that I only read a couple of years ago and absolutely fell in love with, and that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So this is of course a gothic fiction, a sci-fi novel, but I think it is also under the umbrella of dark academia because Victor Frankenstein, the sort of mad scientist in this novel, is obsessed with creating life. He's obsessed with creating this creature. Victor Frankenstein is obsessed with creating this creature but doesn't really think about the ramifications of what he's doing until it's too late. So as much as it's not like necessarily set in a university or anything like that, and there's not really much about secret societies, I think the themes of moral ambiguity is definitely there, obsession's definitely there, and obviously he is a scientist, so there is an academic element to this book, and that is why I think it falls under the umbrella term of dark academia. It is definitely dark, and I think there is elements of academia in this and a lot of other themes that commonly crop up in dark academia. And I honestly would just recommend this book to anyone. Even if you're not that fond of classics, I don't think it's that difficult to read. It's quite accessible. It's not super long. I just loved this, and I really loved the new adaptation, Guillermo del Toro's adaptation of Frankenstein, so I would highly recommend watching it as well. I thought this was beautiful, I thought it was tragic, and I love it, and I think you should read it. So there we have it. Those were my dark academia book recommendations. This is a genre I really like and I want to read more from. So if you do have any dark academia book recommendations for me, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. Always forget to say this, but I am on Instagram under Sarah's Next Chapter. I'm also on Fable and Storygraph as Sarah's Next Chapter as well, if you want to connect with me on there to read something else. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment, please. That'd be super nice. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!